So yeah, this is quite similar to the Winter Sun one I did, or will be similar to the Winter Sun one I'll come out after it. I don't know what order I play these in, but you know, not very inspired. The weather's quite horrific, isn't it, and glum and gloomy. So these are kind of gloomy day scents. You know, scents just to, again, it's much like that Winter Sunshine one, just to put a smile on your face and brighten it up, and kind of, I could call it dreaming of spring fragrances, couldn't I really? I think that's what it ultimately is. Not the book that's is never going to be finished by George R.R. Martin, but yeah, we'll call it dreaming of spring fragrances. So first up is Ray-flection. It's kind of self-explanatory why it's in there. This is mimosa, little touch of the old osmanthus, musks, aldehydes, the brightest fragrance known to man. It's this huge, luminous, bright yellow, sunshiny, happy one. Mimosa in this country probably comes a bit later than spring, but it's that them colours, the yellows everywhere, the brightness, the fizz in the air, the excitement, the musks. It's the season of you know, and it has, the air's alive, it's electric, and that's what this very much is. The musks and the aldehydes give this such a fizz, and it also smells really clean and nice, not all this mud and sludge and death and decay. It's just beautiful. But the mimosa's the star, the sunshine, the little bit of furriness about it, the happiness and the joy, which we're all wanting now. Sick of winter, come on spring. So that's Ray-flection from Masque Milano. Next is on Passant from Frederic Malle, and this one again, this is more on the greener side, but it's lilac, and it's basically like the lilac bushes starting to bloom to me. It's not quite as sweet or big or heady as a full violet bloom, but it's getting there. It's more kind of got that kind of more delicate syrupy sweetness, but the greenness in there is what really brings it to life and makes you think of spring, because obviously in spring it's more green and colourful because the flowers haven't still all come through. And lilac to me is one of them notes that I just love. We actually get lilacs in the UK and loads of them round me, and it just fills the air with this sweet fuzzy green purpley blue syrup, and it's just magnificent. I know not all lilacs are blue, and we get pink blooms around here as well, but that's what this fragrance kind of makes you think of. It's also kind of got this slight aquatic kind of feel to it. Again, a beautiful spring, a soft spring going through the green and all of that. It's a magnificent fragrance. So that's En Passant from Frederic Malle. Next, another lilac. This is Amouage's Lilac Love. Now this one works again for them cravings of spring because it's much warmer, it's denser, it's got this kind of white chocolatey, kind of creamy sandalwoody base. There's a lovely muskiness going through it. The star of the show is of course the lilac, and the lilac in this is more the syrupy vein again. There is a bit of powderiness there, but not much. But the lilac starts off. There is greener notes in here as well, but the lilac starts off a little bit on the indolic side before it kind of becomes a sweeter violet. And that little tiny indolic touch in there, with probably the other florals as well, gives it this kind of like you're there, munching on your melting white chocolate under these blooms of lilac everywhere. You know, the things you do in spring apparently. And it's just magnificent. It's Amouage, it's got a little touch of something resinous about it, and it's just fantastic. That's Lilac Love from Amouage. Next is from Aromatics. and it's called Liquid Dreams. Now this one, this is spring. This is just spring. It's got a lovely sharp citrusiness to it. It's got some linden blossom and narcissus. They're kind of the main things about this one, and it's just got all them kind of beautiful yellows and greens. That's what it smells of to me, and the citrus just adds this sharp life through it. It mellows out as it goes on. It becomes a little bit musky, and I'd say the narcissus puts through more. Now narcissus to me is one of my favourite notes. It's a greeny yellow kind of thing. There's a little bit of sweetness about it, but it's kind of green and fresh and vibrant, and obviously the flower itself is very happy, and the narcissus is going to take us to spring. But the other notes mixing in there add this bright radiance, as well as the sharper zesty feel. You know, spring fruits are starting to come through. You get that little twang on the back of your tongue, you know, when you're having something a little sharp, like biting into a grapefruit or something. You get that, and that's what this is, mixed with them and beautiful, more floral notes. It's magnificent. It's so bright and yeah, very spring-like. So that's Liquid Dreams from April Aromatics. Next we have another kind of purpley spring note, and that's Sakura from Dior. Had to be a Dior, didn't there? Now this is cherry blossom apparently. There is a bit of that kind of pink cherry blossom kind of thing. They never smell to me here. So you get this kind of pink rosiness. But I think it's lilac in this, but it smells of violet to me. It's kind of this rich, dark, purple but powdery kind of thing enveloping it all with the cherry blossom. So it's this kind of very blossomy, colourful, floral one. But it's fresh. It's very fresh. There must be patchouli in it. I don't think there's aldehydes, but it's got that fizzy freshness. You know, that life, that vibrance. That kind of, it's sticking out, and it's like a fresh, cool spring breeze bringing all these kind of floral notes with it. It's very nice, and again just makes you think of spring because of the cherry blossom and the violet / lilac-y feel about it. It's gorgeous. That's Sakura from Dior. Next is French Flower from Matiere Premiere. This is I think it's kind of a construct of a tuberose. I've never smelt a real tuberose in real life, but let's just say it's tuberose with other kind of greener florals and that, and it just creates all the elements of tuberose. It's got your bubblegummy sweetness, it's got that greenness, it's got the kind of indolic touch to it. It's very white and very smooth and very classic. And it's all these things, and you can see, again, I've never seen tuberoses, but these white tuberose fields kind of bobbing along gently on the breeze in this kind of sunny French scene. It's just magnificent, and the ambroxan in it gives it this push. The ambroxan for me isn't too bad in this. It's not really all that noticeable till the dry down, but it does add that a little bit of its kind of what ambroxan does, that kind of fizzy, musky push, the dryness of it. But predominantly this is just beautiful white flowers, white jasmine, and tuberose there happily singing along in the spring weather. So that's Matiere Premiere French Flower. Next is from Olfactive O, and it's a fragrance called Citrus. This is such a beautiful, full of life, effervescent, gorgeous citrus. It is a very realistic, like lemon. It's tart. It's got a bitterness to it. It's got that lemony sweetness. It's very lemony, Is there grapefruit in it or something? Maybe. But also in there's a champagne note, which again brings it to life, makes it effervescent, fizzy, full of life. There's a kind of nice base to it with the vetiver, and there may be patchouli, but it's mainly this vetiver you get there, like a woody, nice base. But what it predominantly is the citrus, which slowly becomes a little bit creamy, but it's not a creamy scent. But you know how you get them, I don't know what you'd call it abroad, like a creamy lemony sweet. It has that kind of touch to it, and it's very, very beautiful. But just the main thing about it is it's so full of life, it's so zesty, it's so comforting, and like I say, the citrus lingers through it all right till the end. Gorgeous one. So that's Olfactive O Citrus. Next up is a very underrated, never spoken about Kilian, and that's Flower of Immortality. Now this one again takes me to, I have all these riverside ones, don't I? But this does take me to a riverside, with peach bobbing about in the warm, slightly tepid water, and there's the flowers in it, there's jasmine and whatnot, but predominantly it's like this watery peach, and with flower petals, and it just takes you to, again, a peaceful spot, the start of spring. The blossoms are there, but they started dropping a little bit now, and like I say, filling that water. Peach is very interesting as a note. This isn't an overly sweet peach, there's a little bit of tart bitterness in there. It's like biting into a not quite juicy ripe peach, the sort of peach you can only buy in our supermarkets, you know, where they're not quite ready and they're a little bit hard still, but it's beautiful, and again it's peaceful. Blossoms, peach, flowers, what more can you think of for spring? So that's a Flower of Immortality from Kilian. Next is from Dusita, Pavillon d'Or. There needed to be a green one in this, come on. And this again walks by a river, but this is all the green trees and the green herbs and the green shrubbery and that. It's even got like a sort of aromatic feel there, but it's all greens. The flowers might be coming through, but they're still on the greener side. I think it might be jasmine or something there, and there's galbanum, so it's like this darker, richer greenness. There's the greenness of a million herbs, a little touch of mint, which provides the kind of freshness in there. And it just is, you know what I mean, just as everything's turned green again, and the sun starts to kind of shine down on it and make all the kind of them scents fill the air. And there's nothing more reassuring after a winter than them first really vivid smells of green. I'm going to keep saying green, have a drink every time I say it, but that's what this one is, but with the sweetness of the aromatic notes, the kind of dots of sweetness from the flowers. But you imagine this, you've all seen this in spring and stuff, where it's all just green and overgrown, and you just get all them beautiful smells. And that is one of the smells I think we crave the most in winter, because look at it, the green's dead. So that's a Pavillon d'Or from Dusita. And finally we're going to end it with another lilac, of course, a dropped Issey from Issey Miyake. Now this is it's an interesting one, this. It's certainly very lilac-y. It's got the powdery and the sweetness of the lilac in there, but it's actually, as it develops, you get that sweet kind of, like I say, purple greenness in that, but then it becomes kind of like a creamy soap, like a posh hotel soap, like you've lathered up with it, and you know, you get that really thick lather, maybe even a little, starting to push a little moisturiser. Like, I wouldn't say it's creamy lactonic or overly soapy, but it's somewhere in between to me. And then you obviously get the ambroxan, which again is more of a fizz, it more pushes it out obviously, but it's more that kind of tickly ambroxan, not the brain stabby ambroxan. And it's just fresh and it's lovely. And it is, you know, I suppose having a bath in spring, isn't it? Getting in from a hot day, lathering yourself up, you can still smell all them flowers you've been rolling about on you. It's a gorgeous one. So that's a drop Issey from Issey Miyake. So yeah, I suppose it kind of overlaps with other videos I've done recently. Like I say, not my most creative period, but it is what it is, isn't it? These fragrances though are what I'm craving the most now. What I want to wear and enjoy, to just dream of none of this awfulness, just to dream of the green and the flowers and the warmth and the happiness and joy that spring takes. Like I say, we don't get much of a spring here. It goes from bitter cold, ice to heat waves. But that little tiny bit in May where it's pleasant, where the snows may have just stopped, is very nice. Oh, shh. So what about you? What springy fragrances are you dreaming of? What reminds you of spring? Alright folks, thanks. Bye.